Hi, we meet again. This is another discussion for SPM English language, and it is for the trial paper from the year 2020. And this time we are going to look at the paper from Pulau Pinang. This is paper 1, and the code is 1119/1. So there are two questions, section A and section B. For this video, we are only going to discuss section A, which is directed writing. Okay, let's look at the question. Section A, directed writing, 35 marks, time suggested 45 minutes. The coronavirus pandemic, also known as COVID-19, is an ongoing global pandemic that has a great impact on everyone. Your friend is worried of the situation and has asked your advice whether to stay at home or go back to school. You have decided to write a letter to advise your friend and tell him or her more about the virus. Use the notes given below to write your letter. So you have cough, SARS-CoV-2 virus. Symptoms can take up to 14 days. People at risk, old people and young children. Symptoms: fever, dry cough, fatigue or tiredness. And then the effects will be on health, education, and suggest one more effect. Prevention: wash hands frequently, wear masks, practice physical distancing, and suggest one more prevention. So let's look at the next part of the question. When writing the letter, you must remember to lay out your letter correctly, like address, greeting, and closing, and develop all the points given. Give your own ideas when needed. Note: for your letter, you will receive up to 15 marks for the format and content points, and up to 20 marks for the quality of your writing. So format 1 will be address, and format 2 will be greeting, and next will be format 3, closing. Let's look at the format for the informal letter. First of all, you need to have the address of the sender. For example, number 7 Jalan Duta, Taman Duta Utama 70100 Seremban, Negeri Sembilan. And then there is the date, 17 July 2020. Remember to spell the month in full. Now next we have salutation. Salutation must be started with the word dear. Example here, dear Lisa. And then you have the introduction. Hi, I received your letter last week, and then you can continue from there. Next we have the contents. Then you can write a few paragraphs for the contents. An example here, in my opinion, you should, and then you can continue with all the linkers and conjunctions such as in addition and so on. And lastly, we have the closing. That's all. And then don't forget to sign off. Where you can write your friend, and then you have your name or your signature. Let's look at the contents now. We have 12 content points. So number 1, C1, cause, SARS-CoV-2 virus. Symptoms can take up to 14 days. People at risk, old people and young children. For C2. C3, symptom, fever. C4, symptom, dry cough. And 5, another symptom, fatigue or tiredness. And then C6, we have effect, health, effect, education for C7. And then C8, effect, you have to suggest one more. And then for C9, prevention, wash hands frequently. C10, prevention, again, wear mask. And next, prevention, C11, practice physical distancing. And the last C12, prevention, you have to give one more suggestion. So let's look at paragraph 1, which is the introduction. There are 3 examples here. Number 1, hi, how are you getting on there? I hope you are in the pink. In your last letter, you mentioned that you are worried about COVID-19, which is an ongoing global pandemic that has a great impact on everyone. Or you can say number 2, thank you for your letter. I received it a few days ago. You wrote about your concern on the ongoing global pandemic, COVID-19, and the great impact it has on everyone. And number 3, hello, how are you? Sorry for not writing to you earlier. I was down with flu for a week. But don't worry, as I have recovered and am fit as a fiddle. I know that you are worried about COVID-19, the ongoing pandemic. It certainly has a great impact on everyone. The virus, officially named SARS-CoV-2, has been responsible for millions of infections globally, causing hundreds of thousands of deaths. Now let's look at paragraph 2. We are using content 1. Cause SARS-CoV-2 virus symptoms can take up to 14 days, and C2, people at risk, old people and young children. So this is an example. The virus, officially named SARS-CoV-2, has been responsible for millions of infections globally, causing hundreds of thousands of deaths. The disease caused by infection with SARS-CoV-2 is called COVID-19, which stands for Corona Disease 2019. Doctors are learning new things about this virus every day. So far, we know that COVID-19 may not initially cause any symptoms for some people. You may carry the virus for 2 days or up to 14 days before you notice symptoms. Coronaviruses are zoonotic. It means that they first develop in animals before being transmitted to humans. For the virus to be transmitted from animals to humans, a person has to come into close contact with an animal that carries the infection. Once the virus develops in people, coronaviruses can be transmitted from person to person through respiratory droplets. You are at high risk for contracting SARS-CoV-2 if you come into contact with someone who's carrying it, especially if you have been exposed to their saliva or been near them when they have coughed, sneezed, or talked. Older people with certain health conditions, and young children have a higher risk for severe complications if they contract the virus. Let's look at more examples for C1. Cause SARS-CoV-2 virus symptoms can take up to 14 days, and C2, people at risk, old people and young children. You mentioned that you are worried of the situation and asked for my advice whether to stay at home or go back to school. I think it is better that you talk to your parents about your concern. Nevertheless, I will try to provide you with more information about the virus. Firstly, the pandemic is caused by SARS-CoV virus. SARS, or Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome, is a viral respiratory disease caused by a SARS-associated coronavirus. SARS is an airborne virus and can spread through small droplets of saliva in a similar way to the cold and influenza. In addition, SARS can also be spread indirectly via surfaces that have been touched by someone who is infected with the virus. The time between exposure to SARS-CoV and the onset of symptoms is called the incubation period. The incubation period for SARS is typically 2 to 7 days, although in some cases it may be as long as 10 days. In a very small proportion of cases, symptoms can take up to 14 days, have been reported. People at risk are old people and young children. The risk for severe illness with COVID-19 increases with age, with older adults at higher risk. For example, people in their 50s are at higher risk for severe illness than people in their 40s. Similarly, people in their 60s or 70s are in general at higher risk for severe illness than people in their 50s. For paragraph 3, the contents are C3, symptom fever, C4, symptom dry cough, and C5, symptom fatigue or tiredness. There are 3 examples here. So let's look at number 1. SARS usually begin with flu-like signs and symptoms such as fever, chills, muscle aches, headaches, and occasionally diarrhea. After about a week, the signs and symptoms include fever of 38 degrees Celsius or higher, dry cough, shortness of breath, and fatigue or tiredness. Then the example number 2, researchers in China found that the most common symptoms among people who were hospitalized with COVID-19 were 20% had fever, 70% experienced fatigue, and 59% had dry cough. And the last example, some common symptoms that have been specially linked to COVID-19 are shortness of breath, dry cough that gets more severe over time, a low-grade fever that gradually increases in temperature, and fatigue. Now we are looking at contents C6, C7 and C8. So this is for paragraph 4. C6 effect health, C7 effect education, and C8 effect suggests one more of your own idea. So this is an example. According to news, the COVID-19 pandemic has led to a dramatic loss of human life worldwide and presents an unprecedented challenge to public health, food system, education, and the world of work. The economic and social disruption caused by the pandemic is devastating. Tens of millions of people are at risk of falling into extreme poverty, while the number of undernourished people, currently estimated at nearly 690 million, could increase by up to 132 million by the end of the year. The COVID-19 pandemic has also affected educational systems worldwide, leading to the near total closures of schools, universities, and colleges. Most governments around the world decided to temporarily close educational institutions in an attempt to reduce the spread of COVID-19. As for work, nearly half of the world's 3.3 billion global workforce are at risk of losing their livelihoods. Without the means to earn an income during lockdowns, many are unable to feed themselves and their families. For most, no income means no food, or at best, less food and less nutritious food. We have another example for paragraph 4 contents. Remember that we are using C6 effect health, C7 effect education, and C8 effect suggests one more. So this is the example paragraph. COVID-19 has rapidly affected our day-to-day life, businesses, and disrupted the world trade and movements. Presently, the impact of COVID-19 in daily life are extensive and have far-reaching consequences. This can be divided into various categories like health, education, and economy. We face challenges in the diagnosis, quarantine, and treatment of suspected or confirmed cases. High burden on the existing medical system, overload on doctors and other healthcare professionals, and many more. The lockdowns in response to COVID-19 have disrupted education as there are nationwide school closures. While the educational communities have made concerted efforts to maintain learning continuity during this period, children and students have had to rely more on their own resources to continue learning remotely through the internet, television, or radio. Meanwhile, in economy sectors, examples are slowing of the manufacturing of essential goods, disruption of the supply chain of products, and losses in national and international businesses. For paragraph 5, we have content. C9, prevention, wash hands frequently. C10, prevention, wear mask. C11, prevention, practice physical distancing. And C12, prevention, suggest one more idea of your own. So let's look at the example here. There are various ways to prevent the spread of the virus. We can protect ourselves and others around us by knowing the facts and taking appropriate precautions. We need to follow advice provided by the local health authority. First, wash or clean hands frequently. Use soap and water or an alcohol-based hand rub. Then, practice a safe physical distancing from anyone who is coughing or sneezing. Wearing a mask when physical distancing is not possible is necessary, and do not touch your eyes, nose, or mouth. SARS-CoV-2 can live on some surfaces for up to 72 hours, so you must avoid touching any part of your face or head, including your mouth, nose, and eyes. Furthermore, avoid biting your fingernails. This can give SARS-CoV-2 a chance to go from your hands into your body. For paragraph 5, the contents are C9, prevention, wash hands frequently. C10, prevention, wear mask. C11, prevention, practice physical distancing. And C12, prevention, you have to suggest your own idea. So let's look at an example here. Here are some preventive measures. First, regularly and thoroughly wash or clean your hands with an alcohol-based hand rub or wash them with soap and water. This eliminates germs, including viruses that may be on your hands. Next, Maintain at least a 1 meter distance between yourself and others to reduce your risk of infection when they cough, sneeze, or speak. Besides, make wearing a mask a normal part of being around other people. The appropriate use, storage, and cleaning or disposal are essential to make masks as effective as possible. Last but not least, avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Hands touch many surfaces and can pick up viruses. Once contaminated, hand can transfer the virus to your eyes, nose, or mouth. From there, the virus can enter your body and infect you. We have now reached the last paragraph, which is the closing. For paragraph 6, you can write 1 or 2 sentences. Here are a few examples. Number 1, I hope my advice and information about the pandemic are useful for you. Take care and bye. Or you can write a short one, bye and do keep in touch. Number 3, take care of yourself. Do write often. I'm eager to read about your decision whether to stay at home or go back to school. Bye. Next, lastly, remember that you are always in my thoughts. Bye. And the next example will be bye, and I know you will make the best decision. Now, if you can write well, that's all for the moment, and do write to me about your decision. Stay safe. And the last example will be, I hope to hear from you soon. We have just completed another lesson for the try paper 1. Okay, it was paper from Pulau Pinang, and then you learn how to write directed writing. So I hope you will benefit from this video, and best of luck to the SPM candidates. So I'm signing off. I'm Madam Gan, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It is called Educator Omni Tube. See you next time. Bye.